I'm not allowed to poke the hamster to make him come out, basically. He is in there. Pontifractian Phil, it's our very own groundhog. He's not having any trouble sleeping. Oh, this is a lovely segue. That's beautiful. He is fast asleep. But for anyone that's got children or grandchildren, they can sometimes struggle to get to sleep. They might even wet the bed, or perhaps they've got anxious thoughts about things like bullying. Well, I'm delighted to say my next guest has got some thoughts on this. She believes that hypnosis could help target some of the problems that children face. Patricia Jackson has created hypnotic bedtime stories, and the lovely calming music you can hear in the background is the soundtrack to her stories. Patricia joins me now to tell us more. Patricia, good morning.
Good morning, Richard.
How are you?
I'm very well indeed, thank you. How are you?
Super, thank you. It's a good job that people don't sleep as well as hamsters do. Otherwise, this would be a very short interview. Just for verification and the final mention, you can tell everybody that there is indeed a hamster asleep.
There's definitely a hamster asleep.
Right,
yes.
Okay, let's cut to the serious stuff. Thank you for indulging us in that. Now, if I'm right in what I've read, Patricia, you believe children are very familiar already with hypnosis.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
What do you mean by that?
Well, children go into trance every day. You know, if they're playing with their toys, you can call their name and they don't hear you. They're not being naughty. They're literally so focused on their toys. We'll say they're in a trance. It's an altered state of awareness.
Kids do have time in their own mind, don't they?
It's make-believe. It's taking yourself somewhere else out of your immediate surroundings.
What sort of hypnosis is it that you're talking about? I'm going to obviously use the most obvious, someone with a pocket watch dangling it in, because some people might, what's this nonsense? Yeah. But I'm guessing that's not what you're talking about at all.
No. There's a lot of misunderstanding about hypnosis. Everybody, Richard, even you, goes into hypnosis every day. It's just an altered state of awareness. When you're driving, have you got from A to B and thought, oh gosh, I don't remember driving?
I confess I have, yes.
Yeah. That's a form of hypnosis. It's not being asleep. It's not being unconscious. It's a very, very natural, normal state.
And I mentioned and the soothing music itself might help with trouble sleeping. But what about things like the anxiety and the bedwetting? How does it help with that, Patricia?
Well, a child, with our stories, they just think they're listening to a lovely, relaxing bedtime story. But we have, within the story, there are hidden messages. There's what we call subliminal messages, which goes down into their deeper or subconscious mind. And because the subconscious or deeper mind is in control, it's in control of your body, your heart beating, etc., without realising their behaviour can change. It becomes true. So a child is just listening to, in the background, they're not possibly even aware of it. Things like, you're calm, sleep well, comfy, all these messages go into the subconscious and it becomes fact.
Is this it's an extension in a way of having a cuddle and a lullaby, isn't it? And things like that.
Well, I hope it's a cuddle, the voice, the whole ambience of the stories. Yes, it's a very loving, quite old-fashioned environment within the story.
How did you, discover's maybe the wrong word, but how did you come across this technique? How did you, and why did you decide that it was something that you wanted to do?
I'm glad you asked that. I've been doing hypnotherapy now for over 20 years. And when I was a child, my father, another Richard, used to tell me bedtime stories. He didn't read them, he made them up. And I carried the tradition on with our children, Ben and Susanna. And when our grandchildren came along, Maisie, Rose and Angus, I started telling them the stories. But then about 2.5 years ago, Maisie was having problems. She was being bullied. And so we thought about me combining the two things, my experience as a hypnotherapist and popping them, because it's never been done before. You can get lovely bedtime stories, and you can get hypnosis on a CD or as a download, but to combine the two is very unique, it's very different, and they're just proving to be amazingly popular. We just cannot keep up with the demand now. The website even crashed last week because the downloads are just going crazy.
I'll get you to give the website address before we let you go, and now people can find out more.
Thank you.
But just give us an example. I don't necessarily mean the full story, but you talk about how some of the stories can incorporate various things, and what just for people, just just tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Okay, well, we've actually got, to date, we have, I think it's 18 different stories. Each story covers a different problem that a child may have. Obviously, the most popular one, as you said, is sleep well, but we have things like get up and ready for school. You know, every parent in the morning will empathise with that, and they're tearing their hair out. The children won't do what they're told. But if they listen to the Get Up and Ready for School CD, for example, they find that the children's behaviour just changes. The children don't have to try to change, they just change. We have another one, obviously self-confidence. Every child needs that self-confidence. They just find themselves in a more comfortable place. Obviously, you mentioned keep the bed dry. That's a great one. I mean, what stress when you have to keep washing the sheets. The whole family tends to get affected if a child has got a problem. It's not just the child, it's the whole family that benefits. Calm at the dentist on the way here. I heard they were saying that West Yorkshire children's teeth are the worst. Well, we've got a CD or a download, Calm at the Dentist, so that's going to help. We have another one called Eat Healthily, a tremendous way to help children to eat the proper foods without sitting down and nagging them. You let them listen to the story the night before. Well, it takes about maybe 7 nights of listening.
That's pretty quick.
It can take less, it can take more.
It's a childhood compendium from what you say.
Yes, it is.
If this is of interest to anybody for either children or grandchildren, give us that web address, Patricia.
The web address, Susanna said I mustn't say www.
Right, okay.
So I'm just going to say it is Hypnotic Bedtime Story, STORY.
Yep.
.com.
hypnoticbedtimestory.com.
That's it.
Super. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And that's hypnoticbedtimestory.com if you want to find out more about what Patricia has been talking about. Patricia, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Richard.
It's BBC Radio Leeds, facebook.com/BBC Radio Leeds if you would like to...